Okay, up to now, I've always done my gotcha game dailies first, and then started recording. But with everything being the way it is, I figure maybe I should start doing it the other way around. So, yeah, as always, if you're starting from here, go back to part one, start from the beginning. But anyway, with this, we're done playing tag, are we? That voice came from in front of me. Oh, you ran pretty far, eh? He says in a familiar tone. I can't breathe. My thoughts stop, and even though I can't think, I vaguely feel that this is where I'll die. 逃げられないってのはお前自身が誰よりも分かってたんだろう。何？やられる側ってのは得てしてそういうもんだ。別に恥じることじゃない。You know better than anyone that you can't escape, right? What? That's normal for someone who's gonna die. It's nothing to be ashamed of. With a flick, he casually raises his lance, and like that. Fate wasn't kind to you, eh, kid? Well, now that you've seen me, do me a favor and die. Without mercy or emotion, the man's lance pierced the heart of Emi Yashiro. There was no time to dodge. The time I've spent training my body helped not a bit. Even as I knew that I'd die, even as I knew that I'd be stabbed with that spear, I couldn't even move. The world distorts. My body grows cold. The feeling disappears from my fingers, starting at the tips. Just once, I spit blood up from my mouth. The blood that normally would have poured freely from my mouth comes up just once. Maybe his lance is special somehow. The blood slowly clots, and the heart that should have been destroyed and scattered blood everywhere is cleanly stopped by just his single thrust. I can barely see. I can't feel anything. Like I'm a jellyfish floating in a dark sea. Already I can't even feel any pain. The world is white and only I am black. That's why, rather than that I've died, it feels more like everything around me has disappeared. I know this. I tasted this once 10 years ago. This is how it feels to die. Apologies. Dead men tell no tales, right? Well, if you say it's natural for the weak to get offed, it is, but my consciousness doesn't extend as far as my sight. You really make me do some lousy jobs. And I'm supposed to be a hero. What a joke. All I can hear is his voice. I know, I'm not complaining. I saw her servant. I'll come back quietly. There's annoyance in his voice. And after that, the sound of footsteps running down the hallway. Archer, huh? I want to settle things with him here, but I can't go breaking my master's policy. What a disagreeable master. The voice suddenly vanishes. He must have jumped out the window. After that, The sound of approaching footsteps stops. Then a strange interval. And footsteps again. I can't hear very well anymore. And this is where we...
ランサーはマスターのところに戻るはず。せめて相手の顔ぐらい把握しないと。
Yep, there's Reen. Go after him, Archer. Lancer should be going back to his master. If we don't at least thorn his face, there's no point to any of this. Whose voice is that? I mobilize my dimming mind to try to remember, but as you'd expect, I can't think of anything. Right now, even my breathing is too loud. I guess my lungs are still working. The sound of the breath leaking from my mouth is as loud as a typhoon.
その割にはまだ死んでないってのはすごいな。
That he hasn't died yet in spite of that is kind of amazing. The sense of someone leaning in close to me. Maybe they thought my breathing was noisy too. They reached out a finger to close my mouth and...
やめてよね。なんだってあんたが。
Give me a break. Why you? A crunch. In the instant that I hear them grind their teeth in frustration, without any hesitation, they took my blood-soaked body.
破損した臓器を偽造して代用。その間に心臓一つ丸々修復か。こんなの成功したら時計塔に一発合格ってレベルじゃない。
Substitute a fake heart for his damaged one and completely heal his heart in the meantime, huh? If it works, I bet this would get me accepted to the clock tower in one shot. A strange voice. At that, my consciousness has only been fading stops dead. Feeling returns to my body. Slowly, little by little, so slowly it's like a drop of water falling from a leaf. My body's functions return. Drip, drip. What are they doing? Sweat is dripping from the brow of the one who leaned in close to me, and intently they place their hand against my chest. When I realize it, the place where they've put the palm of their hand is terribly hot. Surely, since it was so hot that it surprised even my dead body, it must have made my frozen blood flow again. The sense of someone laying out a deep breath and sitting down. I'm exhausted. The jingling sound of something falling.
まあ仕方ないか。ごめんなさい、父さん。あなたの娘はとんでもなく薄情者です。
Well, I guess that's life. I'm sorry, Father. Your daughter is a horribly insensitive person. That's the end. Whispering in self-mockery, their presence promptly grows distant. My heart restarts. And like that, this time my consciousness really does cut off. This isn't the sleep of death. This is a sleep to get the rest necessary to wake up again. I open my eyes in astonishment. There's a nauseous feeling at the back of my throat. My whole body throbs with pain, and with each beat of my heart, I have a stabbing pain in my head. What happened? The headache is so intense that I can't remember. I suppose it's because I was lying on the floor for a long time. My body is so cold it seems like I might start shaking. The only certain things are the tear in the breast of my uniform and the pool of my blood staining the floor. Clutching my hazy head, I stand up. The place that I collapsed in is in an awful state. The place that I collapsed is in an awful state, like it's the scene of a murder. I really was stabbed in the chest. Holding down the feeling of nausea, I enter the the closest classroom. On unsteady feet, I open a locker and take out a mop and bucket. What am I doing? I'm still confused. Why do you think, after running into something that absurd and being suddenly and instantly killed, that you still have to stick around here this late and clean up, you idiot? It won't come out. I wipe the floor with the mop. Without any strength in my arms or legs, I somehow managed to wipe the blood off the floor and pick up the garbage that had fallen on the floor and put it in my pocket. I think I kinda get this. Something big like this happens, especially if it's on the traumatic side. Doing something that resembles what was being done before could help you sort out everything that just occurred. I guess maybe you could call this destruction of evidence. Maybe that too. I probably did something stupid like this because I'm in such a daze. I clean up the mop and bucket and leave the school walking like a zombie. My fever gets stronger with every step. Even though it's so cold outside, my body feels like it's burning up. By the time I get home, it's already after midnight. There's no one at the house. Of course, Sakura is in here, but Fujine too has long since gone home. I sit down on the floor with a thump. From there, I lie down on the floor and finally manage to calm down. I take a deep breath. When I inflate my chest, my heart hurts like it has a crack in it. No, it's the opposite. Truthfully, this isn't just that my heart has a crack in it. What's going on is the hole that was stabbed into my heart has been plugged up, and since it's only just been healed, when I breathe in sharply, the wound almost opens up again. I guess I really was almost killed. That's wrong too. I wasn't almost killed. I was killed. The reason that I'm still alive like this is because someone saved my life. Who was that? I'd at least like to thank them. That they happen to be there means they might be related to those two. But that doesn't change that they saved my life. Someday I have to thank them properly. In the instant that I relax, the pain comes back. At the same time, another bout of nausea wells up. I get up and somehow endure the urge to throw up. I touch my hand to the place where my uniform was torn, where my chest is exposed. Saved or not, there was a hole torn open in my chest. That feeling, the horrible feeling of the point of his knife-like spear being completely submerged in my chest, isn't something I can forget so easily. I'm gonna be having nightmares about this for a while. When I close my eyes, I can still feel his spear sliding into my chest. Pushing that hallucination aside, I do my best to calm down. Alright, I've calmed down. This is the fruit of my nightly training. With just a few deep breaths, I can clear my mind, and my fever and my nausea both recede. So, about what happened. A blue man and a red man. They looked like humans, but I don't think that they were. Were they some kind of ghosts? but they had real bodies, and I've never heard of a ghost that can directly interact with living humans. What's more, it spoke. Since they seem to have their own will as well, it's getting harder and harder to imagine that they were ghosts. I've heard that ghosts that have flesh are some kind of holy spirit, but I didn't think that holy spirits were human-shaped. No, that's not the problem here. There ought to be another, more fundamental problem. The two men trying to kill each other. The break-in and murder in the neighborhood. The ominous events continuing in Fuyuki. Just thinking about that, the only thing that I understood is that it's beyond me. If only Dad were still alive at a time like this. Maybe it's because the wound in my chest is still so raw, but I whined something that I shouldn't have said. Idiot. Even if you don't understand it, you decided that you were going to do what you could, didn't you? There will be time to complain after that. First, yeah, to get involved or not to get involved, I have to make that choice. The bell hung from the ceiling of the house rings. Even if it's gone to seed, this is still a mage's house. There's a boundary field set up such that if any unknown person enters the grounds of the house, it will ring a warning bell. A burglar at a time like this? I whisper and then curse my own stupidity. There's no chance of that. With this timing, after seeing a crazy thing like that, there's no way that's it. This is some kind of an intruder. But it's not a burglar, it's an assassin, come to steal not goods, but life. Did he even say something like that? Now that you've seen me, you have to die or something? The house is as still as a grave. In the utterly silent darkness, definitely, I feel the murderous intent that I felt in the schoolyard drawing closer little by little. I gulp. A needle-like chill runs down my back. It's not a hallucination or a delusion. If I leave this room, I'll instantly be skewered. I desperately hold back the cry that seems ready to leak from my mouth. In the instant I let something like that out, no doubt the assassin will gleefully leap in to kill me. If that happens, what comes after will just be a repeat of last time. Having made no preparations, I'll just be stabbed by that spear again. The moment that I think that, my breath grows pitifully ragged. It makes me angry. The me that's terrified and the me that's trying to so easily to throw away my life that was saved, they're both pathetic. Clenching my teeth and scratching at my chest where I was stabbed, I pushed down those worthless parts of myself. It's about time I got used to this. This is the second time. This is the second time that somebody's trying to kill me. By itself, that's enough for me not to want to make as pathetic a showing as last time. And besides, Emiyashiro is a mage, isn't he? In that case, what have I been learning for the last 8 years if I can't even protect myself at a time like this? Fine, let's do this. Let's quit worrying about the hard stuff. Right now, I just have to throw out the guy who's come knocking. First, I need to come up with some kind of a weapon. Even if I'm a mage, the only thing that I can do that I can use as a weapon is reinforcement. To fight, you need a weapon. In the shed, I have all kinds of things that I could turn into weapons, but it's a long way from here to the shed. If I assume that the moment I leave this room I'll be attacked, then I'm completely defenseless. It'll just be a repeat. Then if I'm completely defenseless, it'll just be a repeat of last time. It's tough, but I'll have to procure some kind of a weapon here. If it's possible, I'd like to have something long, thin, and rod-shaped. My opponent's weapon of choice is a spear. If I bring a knife, it won't even be a fight. Fujine's metal poster. If I had a wooden sword or something, I'd have no complaints, but of course there's nothing like that here. If we're talking about something here in the living room that I can use as a weapon... There you go. There's nothing here but that poster that Fujine left. I slump as the strength drains from my shoulders. But in this absolutely hopeless situation, instead I don't lose my resolve. If we're already in the worst situation, it's not like things are going to get any worse from here. Then, all that's left is to keep going forward until I run out of strength. Begin synchronization. Trace on. At the same time as I speak the suggestion to remake myself, I pass magical energy through the 60-centimeter long poster. Since I'm making it into something to deal with that spear, I pass energy through the whole poster. If I don't harden it, I probably won't be able to use it as a weapon. Analyzing component materials. I narrow my consciousness. Through my skin, as though I'm dyeing the poster with my own blood, I soak the touch of magical energy into it. Reinforcing component materials. The sense of reaching the bottom with a clang. The magical energy soaks into every corner of the poster, and just before it overflows... Full process complete. Trace off. I cut the connection between myself and poster, and shudder at the feeling of success. Now the poster has become as hard as steel. In spite of that, it's still just as light as it was before. For a hastily fashioned sword, it's all I could ask for. I actually did it. How many years has it been since my reinforcement magic was actually a success? It's ironic that my magic hasn't even worked once since Kiritsugu died worked perfectly at a time like this. But anyway, with this, maybe I can make do. In my own way, I have some idea of how to use a sword. I grip the poster in both hands and stand in the center of the living room. Whatever I do, I'll be killed whether I stay here or not, and I can't imagine that I could get away even if I did leave the house. Then, all that's left is to head directly for the shed and make a stronger weapon. In the instant that I ready myself thinking, if you're gonna come, then get it over with. Every hair on the back of my neck stands straight up. When did he get here? The thing that appeared from the ceiling falls directly on top of me. A silver light glides down from above my head. The guy who I couldn't help but think had materialized out of the ceiling falls from directly above my head as though to skewer me. You! Without even thinking, I roll forward to evade the attack. The light thump of his landing and the crash of my clumsy roll. Quickly coming to a stop, I get up holding my hastily constructed sword. He boredly, leisurely turns toward me. What'd you do that for? I figured it would hurt if you saw me, so in my own way I was trying to do you a favor. He lazily takes up his spear. I don't know what's going on, but he doesn't have the vigor that he did on the schoolyard. In that case, like this, I might really be able to get away. To think I'd end up having to kill the same guy twice in one day. I guess the world's a bloody place no matter where you are. Or when you are. He acts as though he takes no notice of me at all as he curses. Slowly, I creep back little by little. It's about 3 meters more to the window. If I can make it there and get out into the garden, it's just a question of whether I can cross the remaining 20 meters to the shed. In that case, I might as well go right now. See ya. Don't get lost this time, kid. Idly. He said that like it were a sigh. A pain runs up my right arm. It happened in an instant. Totally casually, without any time even for me to react, his lance lashed out. Normally, that's probably where I would have died a second time. What prevented that was the hastily constructed sword I had ready. He probably thought that it was just a piece of paper. The spear, thrust out as though the poster wasn't even there, was deflected by that paper sword and stopped at just grazing my arm. Wasn't it metal? Oh? That is a queer bit of artistry. Expression disappears from his face. His prior inattention vanishes instantly, and now he's observing me with that beast-like glare. I messed up, thinking that it would just work thinking that it would just work out somehow was hopelessly conceited. What's in front of me right now is a demon outside the realm of common sense. I keenly understand what an idiot I was for letting myself relax even slightly in front of him. That's right. If I was really desperate, then as soon as I miraculously avoided his falling on me from the ceiling, I should have run to the window without even a look back. I thought that you were just a kid, but I see. It's weak, but I do feel magic in you. That must be how you survived getting stabbed in the heart. He points the tip of his spear towards me. I can't block it. I can't block an attack that strikes like a flash of light. If his weapon of choice were a sword at least, and no matter how fast it was, I would probably at least have time to ready my own weapon. But it's a spear. A sword that draws a line through air against a spear that strikes a single point. How am I supposed to block an attack aimed at a single point when I can't even see him launch it? Fine, this might even be a bit of fun. His body sinks low. In an instant, the spear lashes out, not directly at me, but in a swing from the side. I blocked the spear swung from the side for the side of my face with nothing but my conditioned reflexes. Good boy. Here comes the next one. The whoosh of a whirlwind. I don't know how he's doing it in this small room, but without touching the walls, his spear draws a beautiful arc and... This time from the other side, he sweeps at my waist with a full swing. My expedient sword thrown up to stop it bends under the impact. He's a monster. Is this guy swinging a hammer? Going by this numbness, did he break both my arms when he hit me? I reflexively swing my sword. He's playing with me. He hasn't reset his stance, so with my makeshift sword, I knock the shaft of his spear aside. Both of my arms are numbed by the blow. My hasty sword is bent still further, and his spear has knocked only the barest sliver off course. You know I'm gonna have to go into my editing software and box all these out, right? Not much use, are ya? I went out of my way to give you a chance, and you went and wasted it. Well, I probably shouldn't have expected to get much of a fight out of a mage, but this has all just been a game to him. He had the room to decide to let me get a hit in as a reward for blocking 2 of his attacks. and I let that chance, the only one I'm likely to get, slip away with that hasty stopgap. Consequently, he doesn't see any value even in just fighting me anymore. What a letdown. Go ahead and die now, kid. He resets his spear that I'd knocked aside. Say, in that vanishingly small opening, whatever you want! Without looking behind me, I throw myself backwards through the window. I break the window with my back and tumble out into the garden. Like that, after I roll a few times as I try to get up. Without any proof. Twisting my whole body, I swing behind my back. Having this outthrust spear deflected, he hesitates just slightly. Just like I expected. If I jumped out the window, of course he would chase after me. What's more, he would catch up to me before I could get up, and certainly try to kill me. That's why, believing that certain death would come for me, with all my strength I swung my sword out to the side. It was a rash plan where if I were the slightest bit too slow, I would die instantly, and if I were too fast and swung at just air, I would probably die in that opening as well. But, judging from the difference in our respective strengths, there's no way I could be too fast. That's why what I did was just use every ounce of my strength to stand up as fast as possible and swing my sword behind my back. The result was dead on. My desperate wager of a swing beautifully flicks his spear away. I instantly retake my stance. All that's left is whether I can use the opening while he recovers to run to the shed. Fly. He, whose spear ought to have been knocked aside, closes on me empty-handed and, pivoting his back to me, he throws out a spinning kick. The scenery flows past me. My chest goes numb where his kick struck me, and I can't breathe. No, more than that, the surprising part is that I'm flying through the air. I never would have dreamed that I could be sent flying through the air like a ball just by a roundhouse kick. I land on the ground on my back. I hit the wall and, taking an impact strong enough to break my back, I slide down the wall onto the ground. I can't breathe. My vision dims. Putting my hand against the wall I was trying to reach, I somehow managed to stand. My dimming vision follows him. Did he really kick me almost 20 meters? He picks his spear back up and charges directly towards me. I'm gonna die. Without a doubt, I'm gonna die. He's gonna be here in a second. Before that happens, if I don't want to die, I have to get up and fight back. The tip of the spear surges out. Without even being able to turn towards him, my collapsing body receives the lance. If you're a man, then stand up straight. What dumb luck. Unable to hold my body up, my knees fortuitously collapse. The spear passes over my head, strikes the door of the shed, and flings the heavy door open. So this is my last chance. If I can get into the shed then, there must be something I can use as a weapon. I fall down on all fours and slide into the shed. There. Well then, this is the end. With no way for me to escape it, the spear of certain death is thrust out. I block it. Pulling the poster open, I turn it into a disposable shield. Nuh? It impacts with a heavy clang. I guess the poster wasn't quite strong enough. It did block the lance, but the poster is pierced through and instantly turns back into paper. Blown backward by the impact of the thrust of the lance, I'm thrown back against the wall. Sitting down on the floor, I put some determination back into my heart that seems like it might stop. Then, when I raise my head to try to get my hands on something that might be a weapon...
爪だ。今のは割と驚かされたぜ、坊主。
Checkmate. That was a pretty surprising move you just pulled now, kid. He stands in front of me with his lance held out before him. At last, this is the end. His spear is pointed precisely at my heart. I know this. The pain that I tasted just a few hours before, the smell of death is mercilessly forced upon me.
しかし、わからねえな。起点は聞くくせに魔術はからっきしときた。筋はいいようだが、まだ若すぎたか。
But I don't get it. You're clever, but you're hopeless at magic. It seems like you have the talent, but I guess you are still too young. I can't hear his voice. My mind is focused only on the weapon in front of me. Of course it is. I mean, if it's thrust out, I'm gonna die. At this point, what else am I supposed to think about exactly?
もしやとは思うが、お前が7人目だったのかもな。
It's just a hunch, but you might have been the seventh.
ま、だとしてもこれで終わりなんだが。
Well, it doesn't matter since this is the end for you, though. His arm moves. That movement that I couldn't see even once before now appears to me in slow motion. A racing silver light. A point that advances to sink into my heart. In a second, blood will come pouring out. I know that. The feeling of steel buried in my body. The taste of blood welling up my throat. And the sense of the world disappearing. I tasted all of them just a few hours ago. I have to do all of that again? Really? I can't understand it. Why does something like this have to happen to me? This is absurd. I can't accept this. I can't die meaninglessly in a place like this. I was saved. Then, since I was saved, I can't allow myself to die so easily. I have a duty I have to live to fulfill, and I can't fulfill that duty if I'm dead. Even so, the lance will pierce my chest. The point will tear my flesh, and just like that, it will break my ribs and pierce through my heart. I'm mad. It's ridiculous to kill people so easily. It's ridiculous that I should die so easily. That I should be killed twice in the same day, that's thoroughly ridiculous as well. This whole thing is so totally ridiculous that I can't even just sit here and cower. Am I supposed to sit here and be killed? In a place like this, meaninglessly? By a guy like you? Huh? It really... What? Appeared as if by magic. In the midst of a blinding light, it appeared from behind me. My mind grinds to a halt. I don't understand anything about what happened, what appeared, except that she bears the form of a young woman, and this is gonna be Saber. The ring of steel against steel. And the instant that she appears, she bats aside the spear thrust at my chest and steps in toward him without any hesitation. Are you serious? The seventh servant? The man raising his deflected spear, and the girl brandishing the something she holds in her hands. Twice sparks fall. A mighty swing of her sword. Parrying the blow of the girl who appeared, the spearman stumbles backwards. I guess he understands that he's at a disadvantage. With beast-like agility, he leaps from the shed. Even as she threatens the retreating man with her body, she quietly turns toward me. And this is where we started. The wind is strong tonight. As the clouds flow across the sky, the moon appears for a brief moment. The silver moonlight that shines down into the shed illuminates the form of the girl dressed like a knight. I can't speak. It's not that I'm confused by this sudden turn of events. Just the girl in front of me is unspeakably beautiful, and I lose my words. After she looks at me emotionlessly, with her eyes like jewels. I ask you, are you my master? With her gallant voice, she speaks.
Master?
Master? I just say the word that she asked me. I don't know who she is or what it is she said to me. The only thing that I do understand right now is this small, delicate girl is the same sort of thing as the man outside. The girl says nothing, just quietly looks at me. That form, what is it that I should say? She before my eyes is so special that I forget that there's a man outside who would surely attack again if given an opening to. It's as though time has stopped just for me. The fear of death that had gripped on at me until just now had disappeared somewhere, and now all I see is the girl in front of me.
Servant Saber, 召喚に従い参上した。
The servant Saver has arrived by your summons.
Master, 指示を。
Master, your orders? She speaks a second time. In the instant that the word master and the sound saber reach my ears, a pain races across my left hand. It's hot. A pain like a branding iron has been pressed against my hand. Without thinking, I grip my left hand against me. I guess that must have been a sign. The beautiful girl quietly nods.
これより我が剣はあなたと共にあり、あなたの運命は私と共にある。
Henceforth my sword is with you, and your fate with me.
ここに契約は完了した。
Here, here our contract is complete.
契約って何の？
What, contract? What kind of a... I'm not much of one, but I'm still a mage. I can understand what sort of thing that word means. But the girl doesn't answer my question. She just turns her face away with the same grace as when she nodded. She turns towards the door. Beyond it, the form of the man gripping his spear is still there. I've got to stop here for multiple reasons. But once I'm done editing, thanks for that, for the translators, I'm gonna immediately start recording the next one. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe, see you next time.